Hi, I'm Sue, the creator of Cut Couture and Cut Couture Kits. So I guess that your Lydia Cut Couture Kit has just arrived and you're ready to start making. So this is the first in a series of 2 instruction videos to help you construct your Lydia Wrap skirt. This skirt is suitable for all sewers, including beginners, and should take about 1 3/4 hours to 2 hours to make this first section, depending on your skill level. Fast forward or rewind at any point to make sure that you get every detail correct. Before we get started, a few pre-production notes. Seam allowances are 1.5 centimetres unless otherwise advised. A magic marker pen has been supplied and will be needed to help you create your Lydia skirt darts. The linen fabric does fray easily, so please do zigzag or overlock when suggested. Your care label has been printed on an offcut, which will need trimming and neatening around the edges before attaching to your garment. And like your designer label, it will dye if you decide to garment dye. So if you're going to dye a dark colour, I suggest you attach your labels after dyeing so that you can still see the print. Linen is a natural fabric, so it does contain some natural slubs and flecks, which are characteristic of the fabric and not to be considered as flaws. And finally, please do use the cotton sewing thread supplied, as it's natural and therefore biodegradable, and will also garment dye if you choose to dye your product. If you use polyester, it's a plastic origin, will not biodegrade and will also not dye, so you would be left with white stitches after garment dyeing. So let's look at the main contents of your kit. You've got the front and the back panels of the skirt, your labels, the front facing, the back facing and the waist tie, plus your thread and your tape. Now in this first video we're going to use the front and the back panels and the waist tie. So if you can get those to one side, we can get ready to start. Firstly, set your sewing machine to a wide zigzag stitch because we're going to neaten the edges. But before you do, get your magic marker and highlight the notches on the straight sides of both the front and the back panel. You can see these in image number 2. Now zigzag all the way down the 2 straight edges and all the way along the long curved edge of each skirt panel. At this stage there is no right or wrong side, but on your table put the panel pieces on top of each other with the smaller piece underneath and the larger piece with the extension on the top, with the extension and the curve pointing to the left. The 2 straight edges should be to the right. You can see this in the 4th image. Now press this seam open and you're ready to move on to marking the darts. We're going to start by highlighting the dart points. The drill holes are in a position 2 centimetres above each dart point. You have 12 drill holes in total. 10 form the shorter darts and 2 for the larger, longer darts. So take your ruler and your magic marker and below each drill hole mark a point 2 centimetres below it. Drill holes are used in industry as a quick alternative to producing a mark rather than a tailor's tack. Now above each drill hole on the waistline edge you will see corresponding notches left and right of the drill holes. These form the top 2 sides of your dart. So from each notch draw a diagonal line down to the point you've marked to make long thin triangles, which will be the sewing lines for your darts. You will be left with 10 short triangles and 2 longer, wider triangles. Now pinch up to the inside all of the short triangles, the short darts, and use about 3 pins along the sewing lines. Make sure that your pins go through each side through the pen lines and that your pins are securely in place. Now you need to sew down your pen lines to form your darts, so making sure that you backstitch at the start to secure your threads, start at the top waistline and stitch down towards the dart point of each dart. Remove your pins as you go if your pins are along the line of your sewing line, because you don't want to break your machine needle, and as you approach the end of the dart, do some more back stitching and finish just one stitch short of the folded edge of the fabric. When you've finished sewing your 10 small darts, trim off the threads close to the fabric. If you've completed this process carefully and precisely, all of the drill holes should be within the dart area, actually on the crease of the dart, so should not be visible from the front side. The next step is to create the side tie. Firstly, press 5mm twice along both long edges of the tie piece. At the tip, you may find that you'll need to turn in the tip once so that you have no raw fabric or frayed edges at the tip. And then press this firmly in place. Use a medium heat iron or a 2-dot iron. A steam iron is best to press this in place. Linen can stand a higher heat but may singe if you're not careful, and a 2-dot steam iron will do the job. Now hold this small double edge in with pins and stitch in place on the wrong side just 1mm from the folded edge of each side. Stitch from the raw end towards the point, because otherwise the point can get tangled up in the mechanism of the machine if there's nothing to pull it through underneath the presser foot. So it's much easier to start at the top edge of the tie and stitch towards the point on both sides. Trim off any frayed edges or loose fibres, and that's your waist tie complete. The waist tie is going to be attached within one of the large darts that you've not yet sewn. So place your skirt on the table right sides up and draw a vertical line with your magic marker in the centre of the large dart on the right, so the one nearest to the skirt extension, from the top of the skirt to the lower point that you've marked 2 centimetres below the drill hole. With your tie right sides up and pointing left away from the skirt extension, place the raw edge of your tie right against your pen line. Measure 2.5 centimetres down from the top waist edge, and this is where to position the top of your waist tie. Pin it into place and then stitch down 5mm from the edge of the tie. Now on the wrong side, pinch up this large dart and trap in the middle of your dart the edge of the tie. Pin this into place and then stitch all the way down and through the tie down to the dart point, remembering to backstitch at the start and at the finish of the dart. The final image shows you what it should look like when complete on the right side. Now turn your skirt to the wrong side again and press this dart to the left, as you can see in the first image. Then turning back to the right side, you need to top stitch down this tie to hold it in place and to hold the dart flat. So just a few millimeters to the right of the seam, top stitch a line down, remembering to backstitch at the bottom. So now on to the remaining dart. Pin and sew this as you did all the other darts, and you're then ready to press all the darts on the wrong side. Referring to the image on the right of the screen, starting at the centre, if you take the darts on the left and right of the centre seam and press those towards the centre seam, then the large darts and the 2 small darts outside of those, press those away from the centre seam, and finally the 2 remaining darts near the curved edge, press those towards the centre seam. Now turn the skirt over and press all the darts on the right side in order to make sure that the dart points are all smooth and perfectly flat. Now you have completed all the darts and the centre seam and the waist tie, so it's time to move on to the second video of 2 for Lydia Wrap Skirt, which is going to concentrate on the facing and the finishing instructions.